World of Competitive Dead by Daylight. I don't know anything about it. Apparently I'm mentioned for some reason. But I mean, I'm mentioning most of this shit, aren't I? Let's see. Put this a bit lower so you can hear. The time flies when get fun. Alamira for the 45 months. Sorry, let's see what
play
this is.
competitive DBD.
You serious?
Okay, I'll be real with you. I originally wrote this video months ago just to make fun of comp DBD, but after taking a dive down the rabbit hole, I have to admit that there are a lot of misconceptions that it gets unfairly criticized for. Don't worry, there's still plenty to make fun of, which we will get to.
How to copy and baseball girls? What the fuck do you mean shit is easy? How do I find the best NATV player? Are they being serious? Or are they taking piss? These are these weird Discord people, aren't they?
But to take a look at both sides, let's at least start with the dumb things the haters say. That really just comes from a lack of knowledge about the competitive.
Eternal and all other teams consist of pre-dropping pallets, gem rush, camping, and slugging. I wouldn't class that as top level player. He's oversimplifying it. But yeah, I mean, oversimplifying it, it is technically that. There's a lot of pre-dropping. It's gen efficiency. It's kill efficiency, which is camping and slugging. So he's not completely wrong. It's just massively oversimplified. Obviously, there's going to be strategies.
Scene. Like any esports scene, Comp DBD consists of teams of players playing custom games against each other in order to win some kind of tournament.
By the way, if this isn't like taking the piss, these are like people who like, I'm not saying this is, but these are like people who dog on me, like saying weird shit about me. Like, if you're saying this, like, come on.
Sounds simple enough, right? But since DBD is an asymmetrical 4v1 game with heavy RNG elements, the immediate question from most players upon learning about competitive DBD is, why the fuck would you do that? To which most comp players have a pretty simple answer. They like the game. A lot. And optimizing and learning every part of it playing versus other people who really like DBD is the next step for them after they grow tired of the busted mechanics, bad matchmaking, and terrible teammates in public lobbies. Things that I'm sure we've all experienced. So the most popular...
Well, it's because the devs are hand-holding everyone. That's why the teammates are so bad. The teammates could be good, but you're not required to play well is the issue. That's what I see anyway. If you were required to play well to win, teammates would be better, and then you could have better matchmaking.
Response to comp DBD.
Instead of using a buffer to, you know, make it look more balanced than it actually is.
That is, laughing at the idea of it, or saying that there's no money in it, or response to comp DBD. That is, laughing at the idea of it, or saying
competitive play taking a game so seriously and taking their mental health while earning a grand total level of nothing. There is some money in it for some people, but yeah, the majority won't be able to make much, and even at the very, very top, it won't be livable, I don't think.
That there's no money in it, or calling it a waste of time.
Constantly doing it is a complete waste of time. The game is trying every single day to be less and less competitive. What do you... It's trying to be less and less competitive. It's probably the most competitive it's ever been. What do you mean?
Or for some reason claiming
ComDBD doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist makes about as much sense as making fun of any other hobby. I play comp DBD because I like DBD is, in my opinion, a good enough reason to not be mocked relentlessly, even if it is kind of funny since...
But there's a lot of people in the comp scene who massively elitist and mock everyone else, and they think they're the superior being, you know, they're the fucking alpha of DBD. So, you know, it does go both ways, but I agree, it's fucking childish, all of it.
Most DBD gameplay is such a shit show, which leads to the next question people ask. How can you possibly make a 4v1...
And I think that's why a bit of the back and forth probably goes on. Like, people are like, shut the fuck up, like, comp DBD, what the fuck? And then they're like, what? You're not respecting that we're really good at this. So it's like this back and forth thing.
Game competitive childish, with how much RNG and busted crap there is in it. And the answer is just as simple. You can't, but also add a lot of extra rules. Banned perk list for every killer and survivor, banned perks for every survivor team versus specific killers, banned add-ons, items, specific map picks per killer, banned RNG actions, the list goes on. The goal of all of these bans is to make the per killer, banned RNG
You're not allowed to open chests
action.
and you're not allowed to unhook. Yeah, it's ridiculous, the unhook thing.
The list goes on. The goal of all of these bans is to make the game as skill-focused as possible by limiting RNG or things deemed way too strong for the amount of effort you put in.
They're never going to be, like, they need map seeding. They need map seeding because the maps are so RNG. Like, it's always going to be such a bad thing, the no map seeds. A map seed would basically be, you would pick, you know, number 5-3, blah, 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 all the way through. And then that would be this specific map, right? So the killer going against 4 survivors would play that map. And then you'd pick the same seed and then roll reverse. You're playing the exact same map. That's probably the fairest it could be map-wise. Because some maps are so busted and some maps are so weak.
And honestly, they do a pretty good job here. If you're a main of, say, Doctor, and you could guarantee a decent map and no Calm Spirit players every time you queued up at only the cost of your Eerie add-ons, wouldn't you take it? Of course it's not perfect.
You don't need the
For example, maps still have RNG within their tiles and gen spawns,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But tournament organizers do try to get as close as possible to a fair game. This is a really big point that most haters don't understand. Competitive DBD might as well be a totally different game when compared to normal public lobby DBD, which I'll refer to as pubs for the rest of this video. So if you are trying to make fun of comp DBD by saying, this game isn't meant to be competitive, comp players would probably just agree with you. They're well aware of how many overpowered perks, add-ons, and items there are, as well as how much RNG, especially map RNG, can factor into a win or loss in public games. I'll let them explain this massive rule set in their own words. With little to no restrictions, the amount of times the better team wins is decreased, the amount of RNG heavily increased, and skill expression decreased, all while significantly reducing the amount of fun playing the game. Side note, for a lot of players that last bit isn't true, but for comp players it definitely is. It's personal preference. But this brings us to the last common criticism.
This is me. Why are people still crying about tunneling and also saying you need to get good when top comp player is camping and tunneling? We need to get better than top comp players, question mark. If you're crying about killers going for kills, go to behavior and say, hey, make the game about hooks. One of my many terrible takes, of course.
Which can't really be mitigated because it comes from DBD's core design issues. The game's most efficient strategies are often considered the least skillful by a majority of the player base. On the survivor side, pre-dropping pallets while the rest of the team sits on generators. Yep. On the killer side, immediate tunneling and proxy camping of one survivor. Why would anyone want to watch this? Well, most don't, which is why the idea of comp DBD is still pretty unpopular among the majority of the player base going into year 9. However, this isn't the full story for a few reasons, and competitive DBD has actually been growing much faster than in years past. The first reason for that is DBD League, which is the main league I'm going to reference since it's the most popular, has gotten much better with balance simplification, killer variety, marketing, and finally started trying to push players away from camping too hard by making the tie-breaking win condition tied to unique hooks. This way, if both teams do all 5 gens, and they have the same amount of hooks, the killer player that hooked 2 different people for 3 stages total would win over the player that hooked 1 person and camped them to death. The former of which usually makes for a better viewing experience.
100%.
Compare a modern tournament.
Because the game about hooks would be more fun to watch, yeah. That's what I've said for years.
With killers like Oni, Wesker, Plague, Ghostface, and more, to the Spirit and Nurse snooze fests of old, and you'll instantly see how much better it is to watch. The second reason it's growing is that popular content creators like Otts, Hens, Otofu, and Spooky Loops have been showcasing competitive play in a much better way than comp players have. More on that later. But the third reason it's growing is something that's hard for most DBD players to understand on first watch. When both sides accept that these boring tactics are going to be used, the games stay interesting. Yes, it sucks getting tunneled out in solo queue. Yes, it's boring to proxy camp as killer in pubs. But when a full 4-man team knows and accepts that a tunnel out and camp will almost definitely happen, and comes together to prevent it instead of just complaining online, it's kind of fun to watch. Having a player pre-drop their first 5 pallets in a public match is boring to chase, but killers in comp have already planned for this and are setting up their dead zones, strategy, and build around it. If you have a lot of hours on killer, at some point you'll get annoyed at how easy the game can be with just a bit of tunneling and proxy camping, especially when you go out of your way to avoid it and the survivors teabag you anyway. Comp DBD doesn't have this problem. Lastly, and most importantly, even with these low skill strategies, there is a ton of skill in competitive DBD, from patience to communication to knowledge to mechanics, and to pretend it's all just camping, tunneling, and pre-dropping instantly signals that you've never actually watched any. I'll also use a common comp player argument here. If skill doesn't matter, why do the same teams always dominate over multiple tournaments?
Because they're so much better than the rest. That's my assumption. Like, they are so much better than everyone else that it doesn't matter that the RNG is crap.
So truthfully, I agree with the original complaint. Optimal strategies are really boring to play with or against in public games where you either stomp a bunch of idiots or have so much less control over RNG. But in a tournament, it can definitely be more interesting to try it against a group of coordinated players who accept that it's part of the game, and it allows players to push themselves to the limit without having to worry about either side's made-up rule.
There's a love art shit I'm talking about, by the way. They all do it.
Book. So wait a minute, all of this just seems like a big misunderstanding. Why would so many people be annoyed at competitive DBD when they just innocently play custom games among themselves? Well, if you ask people in the
annoyed at competitive DBD, I wouldn't say that I am. Obviously, I'm quite different to a lot of the community, though, right? But I would say what would I say? I think they're really, really egotistical. I think they're really elitist. I don't enjoy when they snipe me whenever they have. It's not very interesting. But other than that, you know, if they enjoy playing comp DBD, let them enjoy playing comp DBD, right? That's kind of my take on it. Once playing against inexperienced players in public games gets boring. The only natural shift is to play custom games versus other good players. Don't get why a lot of people of the player base is like the currently small amount of people who play custom games to improve, which is weird to be honest. Well, I think the whole DBD community is weird in general, especially on Twitter. I think they're fake as fuck, a lot of them. But yeah, let's see what
comp community, they apparently have no idea. They're just happily minding their own business while insecure pub players attack them for no reason. But this in itself, they're just happily minding their own business while insecure pub players attack them for
it's very strange.
No reason. But this in itself is the problem. After watching the comp community for a while now,
elitism?
A lot of their players and viewers are very much living inside a bubble. And when you're in a bubble, you don't understand how you look and sound from outside of it. First of all, the most outspoken people either in comp or associated with the comp community are all extremely annoying. If you go to DBD Twitter, which is kind of the only place comp DBD exists outside of Discord, you'll instantly be able to tell a comp player from the incredibly smug aura of their tweets. They will often put down pub players, you know.
So easy to overinflate their own skill in DBD. Any slightly above average player who isn't aware of comp 1v1 scene will walk away thinking they're the GOAT, when in reality they're just crutching on broken mechanics and playing versus underwhelming players all day. So easy for players to overinflate their own skill in DBD. I don't think it's that skillful DBD personally.
99.9% of the player base as bots and say they crutch on broken items and mechanics. They will call any complaint or
just in my head I just said reshade when I was thinking about stuff. I would just like to remind some people that if you lose a match in pubs, it's not the fault of the survivors you're versing, the game's imbalance most of the time. It's the fault of your own mistakes. In reality, if you... What? This contradicts them. I mean, I'm not surprised, obviously. But don't they say that the game's imbalanced and that's why they have to do all this kind of stuff? This feels like a contradiction. Like, comp has to do all these things because the game is imbalanced. I guess that's why they've put the... most of the time. So they could just go back to that. This is... You should always be winning. Yeah, it's very patronizing, that. I don't like it.
Loss in public matches, a skill issue. They'll have non-stop...
So thankful I'm done with DBD. It's cringe drama from a specific genre of player. Extremely new-gen comp. Even more new-gen and no-name than me somehow. Well, I don't know who this guy is. It's so whack. The Discord e-beef goes crazy. Well, all you weirdos on Discord. Dude, Discord and Twitter people, like, where they live on it, like, I don't get them, man. They're an interesting breed. This DVD game ain't that serious for all this. I don't know what this guy's on about.
Drama within their own community. Probably due to the fact that most of the people who actually have time for comp DBD are teenagers.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you're actually. This is why everybody.
How DC right now is how Henry quit.
The easiest way to get every comp player to respond to your tweet is to post the most obvious bait ever of you sucking at the game, because they will absolutely eat it up. They literally post the most obvious bait ever of you sucking at the game, because they...
Skill how to play, you hit less times, your power and their pallets were dropped.
will absolutely eat.
Good to know, but definitely better than the killer. Standards of random team First pallet you didn't try to...
Onto your tweet is to post the most obvious bait ever of you sucking at the game, because they will absolutely eat it up. They literally can't help themselves. The comp community is looking for any reason to show off their...
Oh, that's a comp guy, is it? I've seen that person before. Billy's so boring now. I started playing Billy because it felt so rewarding to play well, and now everything is just so free. I see so many players with 1k hours who are so mid, but are getting good insta-downs because anyone can do it. The appeal is mostly gone for me. I mean, that's kind of fair enough.
Thousands of hours of knowledge and skill in DBD, usually in a way that...
Oh, this weirdo. Whenever talks of perk... Is this a comp person? Whenever talk of perk balance comes up, people say deli and reassurance or anti-camp. Media think you're stupid. Baby girl, those are the best gen perks in the game. Okay.
That's meant to make you feel like a dumbass. They're wildly confused that people just like...
That's so crazy how many people in DBD are content with being bad at the game. There's very few online PvP games where they cater to the lowest skill players rather than incentivizing people to improve in their skill. Can't believe how many people are fine. So this is fair enough, I think. I mean, it's very blunt, but it is kind of true, right? Content with being bad, there's very few online PvP games where they cater to the lower skill players rather than incentivizing people to improve. Why is this bad? I don't think this is a bad tweet, personally.
Like to play DBD for fun instead of trying to improve, putting down any
Well, he changed it. He said playing for fun. He didn't say
or
that,
confused that people just like to play DBD for fun.
Yeah, see, he didn't say that.
Instead of trying to improve, putting down...
And there's a lot of games that are that way. If you run low pro in the current status, Billy, you're actually so cringy and unskilled. Yeah, they're very controlling.
On any perk or build that they think will interrupt this quest for maximum skill expression. I don't think it's a hot take to say that people don't really like when others are condescending, and the comp community really doesn't seem to know or care how often they come across this way. But hey, there are smug elitists in every hobby. What makes DBD different? The first issue is that, truthfully, DBD is a pretty mechanically simple game.
Super.
Yes, it has a massive skill ceiling, but most of this is from game knowledge and experience.
Like, I would say the skill of DBD, it's not mechanical. It's game sense. It's knowing, you know, what kind of gens to be around. Like for Killer, for example, what kind of gens to be around, what chases to take, what chases not to take, what loops are actually safe, what loops are man-gameable, you know, dead zoning. That's what's the skill of DBD for the most part. There's some mechanical with certain killers, but for the most part, it is that. It's very, very simple.
Being physically demanding. There are some difficult things you can do, but you can win 99% of your games without ever learning these. I'll be honest, I've sucked at multiplayer games most of my life. No matter what I did, my KD was usually barely over 1 when I used to play shooters. But in DBD, I can win most of my games with mostly just knowledge and experience, which is what drew me toward it in the first place. So when a bunch of players start talking mostly just knowledge and experience, which is what drew me toward it in the first place. So when a bunch of players start talking about skill expression so often in a game where you can probably win most matches after like 500 hours if you have decent video game experience and don't follow the other side's rulebook, of course it seems really silly. In most games and sports, the top players have 10,000 plus hours in extremely precise mechanics. In DBD, you could probably get there in 1,000 if you actually practiced correctly and just watched videos to gain the necessary knowledge.
Possibly.
The second reason is that most DBD players are kind of bad at the game from an objective standpoint.
Yeah.
I would say the main reason for this is that there's no way to practice mechanics of any kind on your own, and 95% of the player base is not going to waste time working on flashlight save timing with a friend, and 95% of the player for this is that there's no way to practice mechanics of any kind on your own, and 95% of the player base is not going to waste time working on mechanics of any kind on your own, and 95% of the player base...
Why would you run back on yourself? You know it's there.
Base is not going to waste time working on flashlight.
It's why I don't look over people's gameplay,
man. Timing with a friend in a custom game. All the experience most people have is from pubs, where you might get 4 games an hour if you're lucky. And most players are totally fine with this. When everyone is bad, it all evens out and makes for exciting games. Unfortunately, the players that aren't fine with this are either the...
The next player will need a nerf. Nerf DS is crazy. Doctor's Madness skill checks with Merciless Storm. Yeah, it's more like it's loads of casual players on the forums, right?
Ones who are extra bad and will blame everything but themselves while demanding balance changes that would benefit.
Don't know who this is. DBD players, listen up! Most of you that play this game, killers in particular, have been making the barbecue event unfun. Slugging, tunneling, and camping just to get the most points. I get it. You need the points, But what's the point in getting all those points just to kill the fun for everyone else? I don't how a killer can play many matches just to be like this. I don't get it. Down one survivor, pick them up and don't go to the other side of the map to get someone else. The game has changed in its fun and not in a positive way. I think a lot of people need to play. I don't know.
Benefit them, or the players who have practiced DBD mechanics way too much and are now better than 99.9% of players, not realizing that there's a lot of reasons that almost.
When will the comp DVD scene realize no one cares about it? It's completely irrelevant. It's like being competitive Fall Guys. Like, please understand people play pubs for fun. 10,000% more than you'll sit in the customs 1v1 hours. Yeah, but they can do it though. It's weird. I don't know why people care so much. It's so controlling, man.
Almost no one else does this. I'll let you figure out which category comp players belong to. So I'll summarize the first issue with a metaphor. Have you ever started up a co-op game with friends, but you have that one guy who rushes endgame content as fast as possible to get ahead of everyone else? It kind of sucks the fun out of it for the people who have to play with them. And that's kind of how people feel about competitive DBD players. Most of us can agree that playing against a killer or survivor team that is way better than you is really unfun in this game. Is this fair to complain about? In my opinion, not really.
No.
Do I understand why people complain about it? Absolutely. But I think what really annoys most people about—
Yuck. Comp player. I just owned True's Bubba in the Pale Rose and he started complaining about filters and my outfit and then dodged to 1v1 me filterless and letting him choose my outfit. I didn't dodge, I just didn't respond. And I didn't complain about filters. I said they're probably using filters. They were. And I also complimented that they were really good at looping, and it's probably a comp player. It was something like that, but they wanted to create lots of drama.
About comp DBD in particular is the fact that comp players seem to be unaware of how funny their bubble really is. Like, they made up a game.
1v1 in DBD, what the hell? Literally do not like True, but 1v1 dick measuring contest is incredibly lame, please. Why am I in this? What are they talking about? I'm so rent-free to these fucking people, man. 1v1 lol, god, how old are you? 5. I sure hope so.
Rules, and somehow that makes them better than everyone who just plays this game normally. Reminder, pubs is literally the only game mode in DBD with progression, rewards, achievements, and the only game mode that developers care about, as shown by them leaving tons of spectator bugs in custom games for months now. Everything you do in customs is just something you made up, just like every tournament win that you notch on your Twitch about page is made up by someone else. So even if you are technically right about
the tournament wins,
you notch on your
66, 84, 60. It's so mad. If they can make a living from it though, you know, it's cool. I do recommend some of them try like a proper, like this might obviously make them feel like, grr, you hurt my ego. But you know, like a proper tournament scene, which has like crazy life-changing money and like crazy competition, like just to see. It would be obviously a lot more like getting 84 wins would obviously be a lot harder, but it could be an interesting
Twitch
thing
about page is made up by someone else.
It's up to them though, they could do what they
even
want.
If you are technically right,
doesn't matter how talented or passionate you are about the game, if you exclusively play public games, you'll get stuck and never reach your full potential. The only way to really get good at DBD is custom games versus good players. Right. I genuinely don't know what difference I'd see. Remember, I've gone against, like, back then, they were the best team in the world. I went against them. I felt no difference, really. The only difference were they were body blocking better when you were about to down someone, and they did gens really quick. That's the two things that I remember. They were really good at body blocking, so when you were about to down someone, someone would just body block for them, and the gens would go fucking well quick.
Right about your opinions on pub players, even if it technically is.
Remember, if Dead by Daylight, just remember there's people who willingly play it with zero profit, zero passion, zero will to improve, and cry about ones that try to become better.
A skill issue that someone's complaining about, no one cares. What people do care about is results. Let me explain. Let's say you have a pub killer or a pub.
It's not easy out here getting sent to Badham as a mouse one with these builds, and somehow saying easy, then rejecting 1v1 cold behavior. It's ego. A lot of it's like massive ego, man.
Swift, who brings the most disgusting, broken builds and wins every public game, and a comp killer or comp team that brings.
Let's see what shit we're up against 5 stages. I've been going against some people who are doing this, like 2 perks each.
Whatever, and wins every public game. No one really cares about the fake skill of the former. They're both winning every game in the only game mode that the developers made. End of story. The players on the other side
These comp people, I swear, man, like I get sniped by them, dude.
of those games got shit on equally. But I really think that bothers comp.
Shall we put this to the test and see if comp killers really demolish top tier pub survivors? Looking for high for our survivor groups, little to no comp experience that want to give it a shot versus top tier comp killers in a showcase. So the best thing to watch on pub players, especially the Swift groups with giant egos getting humbled. I don't think they would. They are pretty much as good. They just don't go into the comp scene.
Players, because they're constantly talking about the ego of pub players who are crutching on things that comp players think are OP. This leads them to constantly respond.
Most DVD players are so bad. Most DVD players have no skill. Most DVD players could never be comp. Hey, can you all just shut the fuck up and let people enjoy this asymmetrical horror party game?
On to people who don't really care what the comp community thinks. And it always follows the logic of, if you lost, skill issue. If you won, you were using broken shit, and it's still a skill issue. The best example of this is when a comp player loses in pubs. Let's look at Momo7th, a player for the comp team Petroleum, after losing his 1,947 win streak with Blight in public games. Despite being understandably upset after having such a long streak broken, once the endgame chat starts, he immediately says, "Scrim?" Which to me might as well say, well, you beat me in the unbalanced luck-based game, now come prove it in a real game. To which one player hilariously responds, nah, I'm good. Comp players really don't understand how funny it is to challenge random pub players to scrims and 1v1s. But the truth is that no one really cares about how skilled you are in a balanced version of the game that you made up. And to accept this truth, that would mean admitting that you've spent thousands of hours obtaining skills that even the developers don't care about. But here, any comp player might be pulling the "they aren't a real comp player" card, similar to the no true Scotsman fallacy. The implication is that only the lower tier comp players go around stomping pubs and challenging randoms and annoying everyone on Twitter, and the top comp players would never do that. I'll let Nightlight, one of the best comp players in the scene, explain it himself.
It is because of the low tier, players from low tier team.
Love art.
Just trying to have an ego from winning public matches. And they are bringing the sweatiest shit talking everyone. It's always the bad players from comp that talk the most.
Right.
You will never see any of us, for example, go in the pub game and like full on shit on someone. Never.
The problem I have with this is that 1, you admit that lower tier comp players have yapping issues that give everyone else a bad reputation. So it's still a problem that you should look to fix in the community.
It's an ego in itself calling them low tier comp players as well. God, it's just a mess. Low tier comp players are playing. I thought I was the only one with ego. What the fuck's going on here? Low tier comp players are most cringe part about DBD comp, I swear. Like playing comp for God knows how many years. Have 0 wins and ego in pubs. That's why comp have bad reputation in the whole community.
If you're trying to grow it in a positive way. The other part of this is that only like 2 to 3 teams win consistently, and Nightlight is on one of them. So to him, anyone under him, which is like 99% of the comp community, is probably a yapper. But 2, he implies that top players would never get ego from pubs like these lower tier players do. Okay, let's take a look. Implies that top players would never get ego from pubs like these lower tier players do. Okay, let's take a look at Team Eternal, which Nightlight plays for, doing a 4-man escape streak in public games. Now they played this really fair, no repeated perks, and trying to get all 4 players out with some
Dave with the 100 bits.
Shitting on players in pubs is bad. Alright guys, now let's 4-stack and do a new challenge on fresh accounts and bully brand new killers.
I don't think comp players do that. But I don't know, I don't follow it.
Amazing games. But in came an ultra meta nurse to stomp on them, and you can hear how upset it makes him.
Oh, they'll have massive egos. Fuck off.
Presumably because it's some
86 wins of all tournaments. Of course, dude. Like, we're human. Of course. Like, we all have ego, and getting fucking 86 tournament wins, dude. Like, there's some who can't, and there's some who are like ultra modest, but
someone egoing in pubs.
I'm playing against Eternal. Oh my god. King morons, bro. Guys, I'll get ego from pubs because I can make it.
Why is Kale tilting?
I 4K the Terminals, my Danus, look at me.
Alright, fair enough. I mean, a meta nurse stomps like 99.99% of public lobbies. So, like Momo7th, they challenge the nurse to a DBD League rule set match, where the nurse still gets a respectable 2K with 9 hook stages against the best team in comp DBD history, after which Nightlight deleted the VOD, which is always a funny move when you accuse others of having an ego. I've watched a good amount of comp players play public.
If true, interesting. I've noticed, and this isn't just regarding, you know, these comp players or whatever. I've noticed so many people delete stuff all the time. Like, I've responded to some videos, delete them. I've responded to some tweets, delete them. I never delete anything because when I say stuff, like, it's what I'm thinking. I don't have to hide this shit, man.
Public games now, and
this fucking community is so fake, man.
General feeling I get is that a lot of them are terrified to lose to a random pub player, which if they really believe DBD was just a big RNG fest, they wouldn't even care about. Even in solo queue, where everyone knows you can lose to things completely out of your control, he gets mad at pub players egoing, nodding at the killer right here, but when the killer nods back...
Bro, this guy just aimed into the fucking ground. Well, like, you have a guy DC on 5 gens. Why do you have an ego? Why do you have an ego? Unlucky.
Yeah, that's true.
And the killer not your control, they wouldn't even lose to a round of comp players play public games now, and the general feeling I get is that a lot of them are terrified to lose to a random pub player, which if they really believe DBD was just a big RNG fest, they wouldn't even care about. Even in solo queue, where everyone knows you can lose to things completely out of your control, he gets mad at pub players egoing, nodding at the killer right here, but when the killer nods back...
Weird.
So this guy just aimed into the fucking ground. Well, like, you have a guy DC on 5 gens. Why do you have an ego? Why do you have an ego? Unlucky. Why is he not in, bro? He is literally the worst fucking slinger player of all time. I'm playing with 3 fucking monkeys on my team.
So yeah, I don't know if I buy the idea.
My ego kids these days in DBD comp is insane to me. I'd never think people with 2% Tony win rate will have such big mouths.
That it's only the lower tier comp players and pub players who have an ego. Back when the infamous 3-gen
Skull Merchant main with 1K hours were able to hold the best Dead by Daylight team in the entire world hostage with 3-gen for nearly an hour. Yeah, but they all escaped. I didn't like this. They were creating a narrative around Skull Merchant, and they tried it around the night as well, but it didn't catch on, but the Skull Merchant one did. Like, I don't like the narrative creation. Like, they did escape.
Skull Merchant match happened.
You
could tell Nightlight was taking it much more serious.
You're literally the most very much person I interact with today. I won't continue further conversation about this with you. I got enough information about your personal reply. Keep feeding ego on NSO pubs with killers that take 0 IQ. Just to clarify, I respect everyone that deserves to be respected. If someone is going to start an interaction with me by shitting on me and my team and yep around with an ego, then I'm sorry, but mutual respect cuts there. I mean, it's fucking Twitter. There's loads of assholes. I've fallen for this, like getting into like arguments with complete fucking degenerates.
Seriously, than the troll merchant player CM99 was. Even after they won. I mean, the dude backed out of his
I'm gonna share my head and
bet to go bald if X9 won the latest big tournament. That's pure frontrunner ego right there. And you know what's the funniest thing about both Momo and Eternal's pub game losses? They were both from other comp players stream sniping them. So it literally is just comp players egoing each other in pubs over nothing. Yeah, I can see why casual players don't think
100%, dude. The comp players who snipe me are doing it for ego. It's fucking obvious.
Of the competitive scene. Okay, but enough pseudo psychoanalysis on the comp player ego. Let's talk about another reason a lot of people don't like comp DBD. They worry that comp players' very optimal gameplay tactics, that is, tunneling, camping, and taking every advantage, are spreading to public matches as comp gets more popular. Say someone watches a tournament and notices how every killer immediately goes for the tunnel out as fast as possible.
Or you can just all blame it on me, you know, that's easier, right? Just blame it on me.
Not a reasonable expectation that they might take this energy to public games that they want to win in? If comp keeps growing like it is, more and more players will play like this in public lobbies.
Yeah, they will.
And like I said earlier, it's pretty clear that the public player base is just not prepared for this type of gameplay. You can try it out for yourself to see what I mean. But here I actually kind of take the side of the competitive players.
No, I do need to sweat.
It's not their fault for optimizing the game that they were given. Tunneling has been the best strategy for 8 years and counting. But if people do it in public games, that's a developer problem for incentivizing it, not the competitive players. I tend to agree that a lot of players have an idea of what DBD should be that doesn't match up at all with what it is. And here, comp players have done a much better job of accepting what it is, at least its core design. Does that go as far as having filters for every—
Look at that shit. Oh, devs, you're so lazy. You know you don't like reshare, devs. You know you don't like it. You just can't be arsed addressing it.
Every map in the game to give yourself every possible advantage? No, I still think they're huge nerds for that. Now this links up to the final.
Terry's nothing quite like the step up from ego to the high-roading responses. I now see myself on a higher plane and I don't deem you worth a response. God, I'd love to see all these people give League or CSGO a try.
Yeah, but with Twitter, like, I've said some shit, like, when some bad faith people have got me to their level, because that's what they do. Like, you start at your level, where you're trying to be all civil and chill and stuff, and then they, enough insults, enough bullshit, enough kind of slander and stuff, then you somehow go to their level, and you end up being like them, and then bang, you know, got you. So I have fallen for that. It could have been one of them.
Final bit of why Nightlight thinks people don't like comps, so let's recap a bit. He says that low-tier comp players both have an ego and run around stomping pubs. We both agree on that. This implies that high-tier comp players don't have an ego in pubs, on which I disagree. But finally, he says that top comp players themselves are being accused of stomping pub games like this, which will always be vehemently denied by them.
Right. You will never see any of us, for example, go in the pub game and like full-on shit on someone.
Read Nightlight's message.
Read KL's message.
In what? In Twitter?
Never.
But top comp players do stream pubs every once in a while, so let's take a look. Here's Nightlight obliterating 34 public lobbies with one of the best builds there is. And no, it's not enough to just win, he has to make sure they have no pub ego. Here's V1 crushing 44 lobbies in a row with a quad slowdown Wraith build. One of the top teams, Elitism, played a bunch of pubs with some of the most broken builds available, although I admit this didn't go like they planned. Here's Xeno, considered by many to be one of the best all-around players in competitive DBD right now, destroying a lobby with one of the best killers in the game and bleeding everyone out while throwing snowballs at them on day one of the winter event, while a chat filled with the comp community cheers him on, across multiple
Oh yeah, the comp chats are fucking toxic as shit. Holy fuck. I don't know if they like that anymore, but when I've seen them, holy fuck were they toxic.
Games. These players are all indisputably top comp players. Is it their right to do this? Sure, I guess. It's all within the confines of the game. Should they keep claiming they never do this?
Bitch! Bitch! Yeah, bitch! Yeah, bitch! Yeah, bitch! Cry!
Probably not. Again, comp players get very defensive at the prospect of losing in pubs and will often accuse anyone who beats them or even wins a chase against them of egoing in an unbalanced game or crutching on broken mechanics. And I'll throw them a bone. They're technically correct that they would win in a pure skill game, but to everyone looking in from the outside, this just reeks of insecurity. The public relations from the players on social media aren't much better. Ultimately, they are allowed to say whatever.
Played against this player and WS'd them at the end of the game. They said it was insensitive and that it triggers them. As a victim myself, I find it extremely silly to compare something in a video game to real life, and I found it downplays actual experiences. Am I in the wrong? I mean, end of the day, it's just you BMing in a video game, in my opinion, but you're being a dick for no reason. That's it.
Whatever they want on personal accounts, but as someone who works in marketing, it does hurt a bit.
Don't really care about both sides of the player. So because okay.
See them consistently make polarized.
Dude, if I wrote this on Twitter, are you fucking kidding me? Dude, if I wrote this on Twitter, holy fuck. I don't even want to think.
Rude or aggressive tweets that people will obviously associate with comp.
What's the point of the movement in 2024? We all have equal rights.
Whether that's fair or not. Watch any DBD League live stream or
stuff.
comp player chat, and people will make the same jokes over and over about no skill, tunneling, camping, etc.
Yeah.
etc. All of which boil down to this is what the average person would say watching.
Yeah, it's really passive aggressive. So they still do it then. Yeah.
This isn't that so funny? Turn on.
I see like true. When I was there, they used true. Like whenever they said, you know, whenever they're saying something with true, it with the free, you know, just passive aggressive shit, just really toxic.
Any comp players stream for 5 minutes.
Like toxic fucking sadistic
I
communities.
guarantee you will see jokes in the chat about True Talent or Zeb89, who they consider high ego pub players for lack of a better term. Mentioning these guys is the comp players version of Nerf Pig, to be spammed at any moment for maximum hilarious impact. You could look at this version of Nerf Pig to be spammed.
To be fair, they are very easy to make fun of. Even this guy, who's trying to be neutral, still has to go with the bullying bullshit. You see this fucking community, it's fucking disgusting.
At any moment for maximum hilarious impact. You could look at this two ways.
To be fair, they're very fun, very easy to make fun of.
That it's good to gatekeep and keep your community only full of people who take the time to actually understand it. Or two, that it's maybe better to be friendly and helpful to newcomers who justifiably don't see why someone would want to watch what looks like just camping, tunneling, and pre-dropping pallets. Honestly, I understand both, because you don't owe rude first-time chatters anything, but I do wish that at the very least tournament staff wouldn't actively encourage it and just ban them instead. If anything, recent videos and tournaments from big creators should prove that there is a ton of potential interest. If
Winter Invitational Tournament was a huge success, amazing players all weekend, 10k concurrent live viewers. Yeah, but you're up with that. Across all channels. Huge thanks to all the staff who made it possible, and congrats to X now.
Comp is explained well enough to cynical first-time viewers. And let's be real, even comp enjoyers can admit that a lot of different parts of it are pretty boring. Just like the killers and survivors in DBD, the hate from pub players makes comp players defensive, which makes them hate on pub players, which makes pub players hate them, and the cycle continues.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Of course, there are plenty of down-to-earth comp players who don't do all the stuff I just described, and you don't see their annoying posts because they aren't making them. Zaka and Dan from Team Eternal, the same team with Nightlight earlier, are very chill even in pubs. Laser, Ivan, Pedro, and Xyz are some more great players.
It depends on the personality. It doesn't matter if you're public. It doesn't matter if you're comp. If you are sadistic, if you are sociopathic, if you are a personality which just loves to piss people off, which loves to bully, you know, if you have that personality, whatever it is, you're going to be that way. It doesn't matter if you are comp. It doesn't matter if you're public. It doesn't matter if you're even playing DBD. You are that person. It is your brain. I see it on Twitter all the time. These sociopathic, like e-bullies, you know, like these sadistic people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Players that don't cause,
you know, if you're on DBD or not. It's just how you are.
Trouble, as far as I'm aware. Multiple comp players don't play pubs at all.
And it can be different levels. It can be like full-on sadistic, or it can just be, you know, like minor. It can be all of it.
Just 1v1 ladder and
it's
scrims.
the human.
Although apparently the 1v1 ladder has its own whole drama, beef,
public.
and egoing going on as well. I don't know. Apparently the 1v1 ladder has its own whole drama, beef, and...
You want to play or fuck off, so we're even, laughing myself. Are you upset I beat you? Laughing myself, come if you can.
Egoing
wave. Be respect with me and I'll respect you. You are the one being disrespecting the channel. How many disrespects are you calling you out as an alt account? Are they talking about a Smurf account? What's
going
the matter?
On as well?
This is not only an alt account, but his behavior has... Oh, is it an alt account on Discord? I don't know, but use this for the video.
I don't know. They recognize
just look, I don't know what the fuck
as the DBD is just a game, and they don't get combative when people don't understand why they would play it this way. But as with literally everything ever, the loudest parts of the community set the tone for how the world sees them, and they are unfortunately quite loud. So what's my opinion of competitive DBD? Well, I do watch the big tournaments and follow a few players, so I definitely find it interesting overall. But I still think the overall scene has a lot of growing and growing up to do if they want to be respected by the majority of players. I will say that despite playing a game that doesn't really resemble live service DBD at this point, comp players are a lot better than the average player in terms of general gameplay. In my opinion, if the comp scene wants to continue to grow, I think league and tournament organizers should heavily focus on a seamless and beginner-friendly viewing experience, which so far they have been improving. And I think the top level players should try to set a...
Okay, so me again. Actually, I said stop lying about using filters and your outfit for an advantage. Fair enough, but because it's me, bad take. You could do what you want. Sounds fine. But it's clear to anyone with a brain that you use these for an advantage. Yeah. I would take you up on the 1v1, but from my experience, the comp scene of DBD is very toxic and fake. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's why it's not deleted. And then DBD League. The real competitive community we host is a respectful and supportive environment. Not what I see. People help, and that doesn't mean that you're wrong. It's just not what I see, dude. Like, I'm not gonna fucking lie what I see. I'm gonna say what I see. I see massive passive aggression. I see my name used and other people's name used in passive aggressive ways and all this fucking bullshit, and some of them sniping me here and there and getting all offended and massive egos. Like, it's what I fucking see. Like, you can't just be like, actually, no, what you see is not real. Like, it's what I see. You know, it is what it is. People help, accept, and appreciate each other. None of the people are interested in hurting other individuals and are trying to vibe. Statements against our members are generalizing and hurtful. Right? Yeah.
A bit better example of not annoying everyone online and giving comp a bad rap, as well as condemning lower tier.
This was on a video, and Sentens was egoing Otzhens, German Aaron. I swear I sometimes understand why people hate comp and when people like this are part of the DVD comp community.
Players who try to do the same thing. Whether you play comp or not, or even if you've never heard of it before, I hope you felt this was a fair look at the scene and gave you some better understanding of why there's so much arguing about it. For what it's worth, all personal DMs, messages, and chats I've had with comp players were very helpful and friendly. And if you're looking to get into the community with an
As I said, it'll be a mix. There'll be nice and horrible people.
In mind, they will be more than welcoming. If you're just looking to watch comp, I recommend you check out Comp DBD's YouTube channel, which features the best games, tutorials, and highlights from the top players. If you're looking to actually play, V1 has a video that shows you the basics of joining that I'll link in the description, and the 1v1 ladder in the DBD League Discord has plenty of help and tutorials available to get started. I've played it a bit myself and everyone was really friendly, including one player even playing extra rounds just to help me learn more. Although they may be smug and annoying about it, I see no lies when comp players tell you that the fastest way to improve is to play 1v1s and scrims against people that will actually push you as a player. Whether this is
I mean, you'd improve your looping, but does it matter? Does your looping really matter in DBD? I've never really thought it does really matter that much. I would say gen efficiency matters way more. You can pre-drop and just hold forward, and it doesn't matter that much. It doesn't matter as much as people kind of maybe think it does. Like, oh, I did a chase for 3 minutes. Well, the killer wouldn't do that. In the real version of DBD, the killer wouldn't keep chasing you for 3 minutes. They'd detach and go to someone else. So, I don't know. It matters in the 1v1, yeah, right? The 1v1 game mode you create from doing that, it matters in that specific scenario, right?
Actually worth doing for an asymmetrical horror game? That's still up for debate.
Oh, wait.
This is actually...
It's my birthday, but I won't stream and feel depressed for thinking about your life. Been wasting the last 2 years, falling behind in uni work and losing in real life friends, sitting for hours upon hours of clips of content, but too late to edit any of it, not streaming. Time for a change. Yeah, that sounds depressing.
Worth doing for an asymmetrical horror game? That's still up for
joined the competitive scene about 2 years ago.
Debate. And unapologetic.
There's Ilcom DVD players use stretch rares, extreme filters. Not all, but yeah, a lot. And then ask you to trust them when they tell you you don't cheat in a game. It's not cheating because the dev said it's okay. Cheats is when it's going against what the dev say. You have to snipe in your kill a bit and be in your stream chat 3 seconds after the match. Yeah, I have that should happen. But what's this regarding?
Apologetic comp haters should be aware that comp is growing rapidly on YouTube, Twitch, and Discord, as well as having behavior
Gratitude behavior.
devs donating Eerie shards to the latest DBD League prize pool in big tournaments. After 8 years of DBD, people are looking
because bigger influencers are getting into it
for more ways to play, and to lose out on all the fun potential just to keep stubbornly hating seems like a waste of time to me. As with most arguments,
that was obviously a reference to me, right?
All the fun potential just to keep stubbornly hating seems like a waste
on it. Like, it's so cringe. The passive aggression, you know, I made myself a victim, right? A lot of bullshit. I said this to Kat actually regarding the victim thing. I think it's actually quite genius what they've done, where they've basically made me a victim, right? They've constantly e-bullying, jabbing, whatever you want to say, passive aggression. But they've done this really smart thing where when I mention it, now they can say, no, you just want to be a victim. Like, fucking hell. Like, it's layers upon layers, isn't it? It's fucking disgusting.
Waste of time to me. As with most arguments, both pub players...
But what did he say? That I think, because obviously it's representing me.
After 8 years of DBD, people are looking for more ways to play, and to lose out on all the fun potential just to keep stubbornly hating seems like a waste of time.
Yeah, I don't hate comp DBD, so don't make any sense.
Time to me. As with most arguments, both pub players and comp players could definitely do more to understand the other's point of view, instead of just spamming insults at each other over Twitter. But I mean, come on. That's no fun at all.
I get gaslighted all the fucking time, man. Well, it was interesting-ish. It was a bit annoying. I didn't like this part. I thought this was like full-on like dickhead thing to do. I don't know where it were. Where they said that it's easy to make fun of them. I thought that was like proper just, once again, the e-bully shit, innit? That guy didn't seem, no, it's just popular. It's popular to be a dick to me. I've told you this, guys. In the DVD community, it's popular to be a dick to me. It gives you likes. It gives you views. It, you know, potentially helps you grow as a streamer. I've said this. There's incentive for it. That's why they do it. That's why a lot of it's hot air. And that's why whenever I address it, there's nothing in it. Because they do it because they're fucking sociopathic. They don't give a shit about my feelings. They only care about themselves. They only care about them growing. Fucking dickheads. But anyway, other than that, interesting video. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? What can I say? Now that has some chat logs. Right. Chat logs for what? I think everything I've said here makes sense. Please read 2 long messages by now. Like, why? Okay. What is this regarding? I forgot how to fucking look at this. Is it user? If you got some time, could you check 2 long messages I've sent in chat? Oh. This player is known to be really toxic and plays tournaments on all accounts. He snaps just for the sole purpose of ending on streak, nothing else. Just the reason I deleted VOD is because I want to give. Yeah, I got you. Please read a message above. Don't have it against you. I don't know why people do have stuff against me. It's weird. I say it's just popular. It gives you stuff, doesn't it? You get motive. Sociopaths can take advantage of that shit, like without giving a shit. I'm not saying you are one. I'm just saying in general. In general. Don't have anything against you. Probably I'm one of the few that actually had a couple of conversations with you about balancing. Sad to see you started saying this right after shit on me, so it makes it look like you're hating on me. I don't give a shit. Hopefully you're not. You know, I've talked with certain people here and there. They've pretended, you know, or at least, what can I say? It could be pretended, it could be real, where they're saying like real things when they're saying not real things. I don't know. I think there's loads of fucking fake fucks in the DVD community. Hopefully you are genuine, and yeah, I mean, what can I say? You could be hating on me, you could not be hating on me. I don't know. I couldn't care less, because if I cared too much, it'd fucking just